Okay, good evening. We're back with First Kings chapter 17. Elijah fed by ravens. Now Elijah, who was from Tishbe in Gilead, told King Ab, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, the God whom I worship and serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years unless I give the word. Oh, excuse me while I turn the page. Then the Lord said to Elijah, Go to the east and hide by Kerith Brook at the place east of where it enters the Jordan River. Drink from the brook and eat what the raven brings you, for I have commanded them to bring you food. So Elijah did as the Lord had told him and camped beside Kenneth Brook. The ravens brought him bread and meat each morning and evening. He drank from the brook, but after a while the brook dried up, for there was no rainfall. Anywhere in the land. The widow at Zarephath. Then the Lord said to Elisha, Go and live in the village of Zarephath, near the city of Sidon. There is a widow there who will feed you. I have given her instructions. So he went to Zarephath as he arranged at the gates of the village. He saw a widow gathering sticks, and he asked her, Would you please give me a cup of water? As she was going to get it, he called to her, Bring me a bite of bread, too. But she said, I swear by the Lord your God that I don't have a single piece of bread in this house, and I have only a handful of flour left in the jar and a little cooking oil in the bottom of the jug. I was just gathering a few sticks to cook this last meal, and then my son and I will die. But Elisha said to her, Don't be afraid. Go ahead and cook that last meal, but bake me a little loaf of bread first. Afterward, there will still be enough food for you and your son. For this was what the Lord, the God of Israel, says: There will always be plenty of flour and oil left in your containers until the time when the Lord sends rain and the crops grow again. So she did as Elisha said, and she said to Elijah, and her son continued to eat from her supply of flour and oil for many days. For no matter how much they used, there was always enough left in the containers, just as the Lord had promised through Elijah. So sometime later, the woman's son became sick. He got worse and worse, and finally he died. Then she said to Elijah, "O man of God, what have you done to me? Have you come here to punish my sins by killing my son?" But Elijah replied, "Give me your son." And he took the boy's body from her, carried him up to the upper room where he lived, and laid the body on his bed. Then Elijah cried out to the Lord, "O Lord my God, why have you brought tragedy on this widow who has opened her home to me, causing her son to die?" And he stretched himself out over the child 3 times and cried out to the Lord, "O Lord my God, please let this child's life return to him." The Lord heard Elijah's prayer, and the life of the child returned, and he came back to life. Then Elijah brought him down from the upper room and gave him to his mother. "Look, your son is alive," he said. Then the woman told Elijah, "Now I know for sure that you are a man of God, and that the Lord truly speaks through you." First Kings chapter 18, the contest on Mount Carmel. After many months passed, in the 3rd year of the drought, the Lord said to Elisha, "Go and present yourself to King Ahab. Tell him that I will soon send rain." So Elisha went to appear before Ahab. Meanwhile, the famine had become very severe in Samaria. So Ahab summoned Obadiah, who was in charge of the palace. Now Obadiah was a devoted follower of the Lord. Once when Jezebel had tried to kill all the Lord's prophets, Obadiah had hidden 100 of them in 2 caves. He had put 50 prophets in each cave and had supplied them with food and water. Ahab said to Obadiah, "You must check every spring and valley to see if we can find enough grass to save at least some of my horses and mules." So they divided the land between them. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. As Obadiah was walking along, he saw Elisha coming toward him. Obadiah recognized him at once and fell to the ground before him. "Is it really you, my lord Elisha?" he asked. "Yes, it is," Elisha said. "Now go and tell your master I am here." "Oh, sir," Obadiah protested, "what harm have I done to you that you are sending me to my death at the hands of Ahab? For I swear by the Lord your God that the king had searched every nation and kingdom on earth from end to end to find you." Then each time when he was told, "Elijah isn't here," King Ahab force the king of that nation to swear to the truth of his claim. And now you say, go and tell your master that Elijah is here. But as soon as I leave you, the Spirit of the Lord will carry you away to who knows where. When Ahab comes and cannot find you, he will kill me. Yet I have been a true servant of the Lord all my life. Has no one told you, my lord, about the time when Jezebel was trying to kill the Lord's prophets? I hid 100 of them in 2 caves and supplied them with food and water. And now you say, go and tell your master that Elijah is here. Sir, if I do that, I'm as good as dead. But Elisha said, I swear by the Lord Almighty, in whose presence I stand, that I will present myself to Ahab today. So Obadiah went to tell Ahab that Elijah had come, and Ahab went out to meet him. So it's you, is it, Israel's troublemaker? Ahab asked when he saw him. I have made no trouble for Israel, Elisha replied. You and your family are the troublemakers, for you have refused to obey the commandments of the Lord and have worshipped the images of Baal instead. Now bring all the people of Israel to Mount Carmel, with all 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Asherah who were supported by Jezebel. So Ahab summoned all the people and the prophets to Mount Carmel. Then Elijah stood in front of them and said, How long are you going to waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, then follow him. But the people were completely silent. Then Elijah said to them, I am the only prophet of the Lord who is left, but Baal has 450 prophets. Now bring 2 bulls. The prophets of Baal may choose whichever they wish, and cut it into 2 pieces and lay it on the wood of their altar, but without setting fire to it. I will prepare the other bull and lay it on the wood on the altar, but not set fire to it. Then call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord. The God who answers by setting fire to the wood is the true God. And all the people agreed. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, You go first, for there are many of you. Choose one of the bulls and prepare it, and call on the name of your God, but do not set fire to the wood. So they prepared one of the bulls and placed it on the altar. Then they called on the name of Baal all morning, shouting, O Baal, answer us. But there was no reply of any kind. Then they danced wildly around the altar they had made. About noontime, Elisha began mocking them. You'll have to shout louder, he scoffed, for truly he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought, or he is reveling himself. Or maybe he is away on a trip, or he is asleep and needs to be awakened. So they shouted louder, and following their normal custom, they cut themselves with knives and swords until the blood gushed out. They raved all afternoon until the time of the evening sacrifice, but still there was no reply, no voice, no answer. Then Elijah called to the people, Come over here. They all crowded around him as he prepared his altar of the of the Lord that had been torn down. He took the 12 stones, one to represent each of the tribes of Israel, and he used the stones to rebuild the Lord's altar. Then he dug a trench around the altar large enough to hold about 3 gallons. He piled the wood on the altar, cut the bull into pieces, and laid the pieces on the wood. Then he said, Fill 4 large jugs of water and pour the water over the offering and the wood. After they had done this, he said, Do the same thing again. And then they were finished. And when they were finished, he said, Now do it a 3rd time. So they did it as he said, and the water ran around the altar and even overflowed at the trench. At the customary time of the offering, the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet walked up to the altar and prayed, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, prove today that you are God in Israel and that I am your servant. Prove that I have done all this at your command. O Lord, answer me, so these people will follow you, O Lord, our God, and that you have brought them back to yourself. Immediately the fire of the Lord flashed down from heaven and burned up the young bull, the wood, the stones, the dust. It even licked up all the water in the ditch. And when the people saw it, they fell on their faces and cried out, The Lord is God, the Lord is God. Then Elisha commanded, Seize all the prophets of Baal and don't let a single one escape. So the people seized them all, and Elisha took them down to Kishon Valley and killed them there. Okay, and with that, I will be back to finish up the rest.